Good morning and welcome to the Mississippi Board of Nurses. Before we begin, I'm going to ask Ms. Oliver to lead us in prayer. Ms. Oliver.
Would you please bow your heads? Thank you, dear Lord, for today and every day that you give us. Thank you for your son dying on the cross to save us from our sins. And please be with us as we are making the correct decisions and the right decisions in the lives of nursing and our public. In Jesus Christ's name, so, amen.
The board is made up of 13 members, 7 RNs, 4 LPNs, 1 physician, and 1 consumer. Today, we are a 3-member panel of the board. We will have an alternate, but he will be here after 10 this morning, but he will not participate in either the deliberations or the decisions concerning these cases. At this time, I'm going to ask to my left if the board members would introduce themselves. Carly Walker, Sandra Culpepper, Beverly Oliver. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the Attorney General Assistant, Sarah Harson.
Good morning. Today's date is Tuesday, March the 31st, 2026. The time is 8:46 a.m. We are present at the office of Mississippi Board of Nursing, located at 713 South Parafordia Road in Ridgeland, Mississippi. I will call the first matter on the docket. That's the matter of Rhonda Hartzell, license number 122-996, case number 2026-0110. Morning, my name is Sarah Hartlog. I'm Special Assistant Attorney General, and I will serve as your hearing officer in the matter today. My role during the course of this proceeding will be to rule on objections, or to questions or evidence raised by the parties, to see to the orderly process of the proceedings, and to ensure that the proceedings are conducted in accordance with laws and rules. This is an administrative proceeding, so it's not a court of law. So the formal rules of evidence and civil procedure will not, that govern proceedings in a court of law, do not apply to today's hearing. However, I may use both as a guide when ruling on objections or evidence introduced, but I'm not bound by either during this administrative hearing. At this time, I will ask the members of the board hearing panel for this case to introduce themselves for the record.
Carly Walker, Sandra Culpepper, Beverly Oliver.
Typically, we do have an alternate, but as Ms. Culpepper explained earlier, we would be here after another engagement. Will the attorney representing the Board of Nursing please state your name for the record?
Brandon Walker.
Good morning, Mr. Walker. Is the licensee present, Ms. Hartzell? Okay. Here? Okay, very good. Are you represented by counsel? Okay, so since you're not represented by counsel, I have some extra questions to ask you. First, do you understand that you have the right to have an attorney represent you? Do you understand that you have the right to present witnesses to testify at today's hearing on your behalf? Do you understand that you have the right to introduce documents and evidence on your behalf? Is her mic on?
That's what I'm saying.
There you go. Very good. You understand you have the right to cross-examine or question witnesses testifying against you?
Yes, ma'am.
You further understand you have the right to have subpoena issued by the board to compel witnesses to appear before the board to offer testimony or have evidence produced on your behalf. You understand? And understanding all of this, it is your wish to proceed in this matter without counsel or representation. Hartzell, do you have any witnesses that you will be presenting today? So you'll just be offering testimony on your own behalf? Okay, Mr. Walker, do you have witnesses that you will be presenting? So can we please have the court reporter place Ms. Hartzell under oath?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
And do we have any preliminary matters to exhibit some motions?
We do, Your Honor. The board will request to amend ordinance B1 for B5. And from this parcel, we have B1 and B2.
One, two. Okay, Ms. Hartzell, have you had an opportunity to look at exhibits B1 to B5?
Yes, yes, I have.
Do you have any objection to those exhibits being entered into the record? Those will be marked B1 through B5 and entered into the record. And then, Mr. Morris, do you have any objections to exhibits B1 and 2 being entered into the record? So those will be marked and entered accordingly. All right, so I will, explain the order of the hearing for you, Ms. Hartzell. So we will proceed as follows. Both parties may provide opening statements. Opening statements and closing statements are optional, they're not required. Your opening statement should be along the lines of why you're here today and what you are asking the board hearing panel to do. And opening statements are not evident. After opening statements, we will hear the case of both parties. Since this is an application for restoration of the license privileges, you will get to go first and present your case, and you have the burden of proof in this matter. The counsel for the board may cross-examine other witnesses, in this case you. And the board hearing panel may also have questions for you. You can ask questions or you can ask questions on redirect if desired. Once you conclude your case, then we'll go to the board attorney and let him call any witnesses and introduce any evidence. You may cross-examine his witnesses, and the board hearing panel may also have questions for his witness. He may ask any questions on redirect if desired. Once both sides have concluded, then closing statements may be provided. Again, closing statement is optional. It is not evident and it is not required. After that, the board hearing panel will deliberate and render a decision today, and then the order will be placed in the public. If you have any questions about our procedure. All right, so Ms. Hartzell, I will give you the floor for your opening statement.
Well, good to hear from you. So I entered a CC board counseling back in 2018, and I was on the program for 7 years. 2 years to get my license reinstated, and then 5 years. I successfully completed the program in October 18th of last year. With a drug screen being negative. I did have a positive one at one time, but it was due to something that I had invested. And the medical officer reviewed it and it was completely okay. I completed all my 12-step programs. I completed, I stood online meetings, I did all my online meetings, and I successfully graduated from the program. So it was from 2018 to 2025. And I was able to get my license back and put on probation. And now I have a good license with 736. It was taken off probation in 2020.
Wow.
Ms. Hartzell is here today asking for a privilege to practice in Mississippi and do sword. Ms. Hartzell was here on her privilege to practice on a multi-state license issued by Tennessee. In 2008, she surrendered her privilege to practice in Mississippi after she entered into a consent order suspending her license. You will see in the order in which she surrendered her privilege to practice, she was convicted of obtaining controlled substance alcohol and was sentenced to 6 months suspended in June 2000. In 2004, she tested positive for alcohol and marijuana. Then in 2006, she was arrested for forgery. She admitted to having a substance abuse addiction. We were seeing the paperwork that she submitted, but she was convicted of burglary in 2007 and so she was incarcerated into 5 years probation, which she completed in 2015. According to a letter dated July 10th, 2025, agency professional assistance management program. Ms. Hartsell has been participating in the program since October 2018. You'll see that the letter states she has successfully completed the program in October, which I believe she stated she did. She is here today asking the privilege to practice in Mississippi be restored. Considering restoring her privilege to practice nursing in Mississippi, we encourage the panel to consider how long it means she practice nursing, circumstances related to her losing her license, the ability to practice nursing safely, any substance use or mental disorders she may have, and the public will be protected if her license is her privilege to practice. So, thank you.
Mr. Walker. Ms. Hartzell, you can present your first witness, so that would give the testimony this time.
I guess, my testimony is, you know, I went to the Oxford Center and studied and completed a program there as well. And, speaking of meetings, doing my own meetings for lunch website meetings. And one of the reasons also too is I really want to go work at the Oxford Center, which is, a place for people with addictions with adults. And I think that I would be able to help, you know, them as well as, you know, continue to help me with my sobriety as well. Like I said, I do still stay in the meetings, I do online meetings, I do celebrate recovery on Wednesday nights at church. And, I just feel like I do use what the things that I've done, unfortunately, definitely not something that I'm proud of. But I feel like that I'm strong in my sobriety, and I feel like I can really help people. I haven't gone through it myself. I think that I would be a great asset. I did work with several children focused intervention. I worked with them for years, and it was people with, you know, addictive problems and personality problems, and I was able to, you know, relate to that kind of help them. And I just feel like I would really be an asset, you know, to that environment. I think it would be beneficial for me as well. That's what my goal is.
Process elimination.
I really just had a few questions. Ms. Hartsell, we state your name and the current place in folks for record.
Rhonda Ann Hartzell, and I did probably nursing,
Where at?
for one,
Is that located in Tennessee?
yes, yes,
How long have you been there?
New York Health,
You had any issues there?
not at all.
Where were you at before you started work?
I worked at CSL last month, and I had no issues there throughout 3 days. I was in addiction, and I was a house supervisor.
Let me back up, I'm sorry, this North Point, said you were doing private university. What is that?
Take care of her, administer medication, help her with her, daily activities, and making sure she
So you're on, you're not supervising, you haven't been for the last, you said a year and a half,
since 2020.
since 2020, you're working supervisor.
Yes,
You've had no issues.
amazing.
Can you just tell us what happened? I know it's been a little while ago, but what led to you entering that consent order with Tennessee?
Well, I just, you know, really wanted to make a change, and I missed nursing, and I was getting to a point to where, you know, I wanted to get sober and stay sober, and I wanted some accountability for it, and I thought that it would be a great program to enter into, so to take care of, you know, my patients properly. So I contacted the board and asked them could I join their program, and they said that I could. And then I went from there, and I just got really serious about my sobriety instead of trying to halfway do it. I had no plans. You know, going to my meetings and doing what I was supposed to do before I shot sobriety, just didn't work the program the way that I should. And so I had finally went into it, and listened, and I just went into it 100%. And this something like, honestly.
What led to that change? You said you were.
I had got out of a really unprofitable marriage, a really abusive marriage, and I just wanted to start life over and tell people, and, you know, just start fresh.
But what's your date of sobriety?
Excuse me,
Your
July of 2018.
And so what have you, I know we went through the program in Tennessee and you successfully completed that. Based on what I've seen, you didn't have any issues with it.
Yes, sir.
Other than the one that you brought up that they came out of.
Yes, sir.
And was this in your paperwork that you submitted, you had documents that you had a conviction, and then you had that expunged? That's before or after the program?
After.
Complete. Like the conviction, was it before the 2018 date?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you had it expunged.
I did.
Nick, can you tell us I'm sure, I don't know, just for the record, state kind of what you had to do for that program, in Tennessee?
Okay, well, we get to Infinity and you would call an 800 number every day. And it would tell you if you would the drug screen, we did hair follicle, we did blood, we did urine. So it just depended on what you were chosen for. And then, I had meetings, through virtually, on Tuesday night, where I had, we just all got in the room, just talked about our week and what we did. Also completed two, AA meetings, trust set meetings a week. And then I had my sponsor, which I would talk to really almost every day, because we ended up being, you know, close after a while. And you do your reports, and then every quarter, your employer would, do reports and do updates, you know, on how you were doing, and, you know, if they had any problems with you, if you weren't showing up for work. And sometimes on the job too, they may do a language study. And it's really good.
So you had drug testing, A, meeting sponsors, therapists, and full report.
Yes, and I still have another therapist as well, Allison.
Do you still see a therapist?
I do.
And I'll still continue with that.
Yes, I do.
Now, I believe you said you and the sponsor was close, of that, do you still?
I still talk. Mhm.
Do you intend on, you still do A meeting?
I do. I try to go, every twice a week, but I'm on the street working myself. If I can't get there twice a week, I'll do one online.
So I believe you said a couple of times today that you've been working unsupervised last year.
It's 2020, but yes.
So what do you have, what steps do you have in place, it sounds like you're doing good, but what steps do you have in place to ensure that you won't have relapse?
Well, I definitely have to say keep my sponsor, and I definitely say in my AA program. I think doing 4 at least 2 meetings a week, that's just for me, for accountability for me. And I still have a self-care recovery on the nights. That's a good thing for me, because also it's Christian values on top of, being accountable, and that seems to work out for me. So my sponsor, my meetings, my therapist, and, you know, even those things I need to do, more than happy to do.
And you plan on continuing to work in Tennessee? Is that where you plan to practice?
Yes,
So you're here, you've been cleared in Tennessee, you moved here today, so it's really privileged.
yes.
Questions from the board?
Good morning. Congratulations on your sobriety.
Thank you.
Very well. But I do have a few questions.
Mhm.
So if allowed to practice music, are you open to any necessary education courses that
And
are you open to Richard? Your areas of practice?
line about questioning applicant.
Um,
Any for evidence you'd like to present?
I would just like to say too that, I will have to say that, the peer assistance program really does work. And that if it's done properly and you're willing to do those things, I think it's great to get in place. And I just worked really hard and I'm, confident in my sobriety and I just feel like I could really make a difference. And that's what I appreciate it.
Walker?
Yes, no, sorry.
Again, the closing statement is optional. It's not evidence, and it's not required. But Councilor, if we want to summarize what we're asking the board, those are people to be done.
I would like for, my restoration to, be restored in Mississippi. As I was saying, I would really like to go work at the Guideful Center. It's something close to my heart. I know my old directors were there and, they want me to come over here, like, okay, get on in, get on in. We all work together as a good team, and so I just really think that that's where, I thought about maybe going to the hospitals, but it's really close to my heart. I just wanted to, can you make a difference?
Yes, thank you. I just want to remind the panel that Ms. Tarso was here today asking to come up to the store and ask the privilege to practice nursing. And she has the burden of proof line should be restored. Again, I just remind the panel of the following practice, how long it's been since she practiced nursing. Circumstances related to her license, her ability to practice nursing safely, her conduct since losing her license, and the difficulty to be protected with her privilege to practice. Thank you.
Virtual Mr. Walker, the participation cooperation today is not complete the hearing. After the panel, I will return your motion to go to closed session. Closed session.
Motion to close session. Second.
Should go to closed session. With the deliberation of clause, making a big splash here on
Second session.
all day. For that on the record, I will announce the board's decision in cause number 2026-0110. The panel unanimously decided to grant the petition to restore constructed nursing privileges in Mississippi, with requirement petitioner shall complete a nurse refresher course within 12 months of this order. And as I explained before, we'll have an official written order, since you and the within 5 days. Okay?
Very much.
All right.
Congratulations.
Matter. Go off record.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Today's date is Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, and the time is 9:20 a.m. The president and officers of the City Board of Nursing located at 713 South Fair Orchard Road in Ridgeland, Mississippi. I'll call the next matter on the docket. That is the matter of Shalon Denise Triplett, license number R 926044, case number 2025-1087. My name is Sarah Hartzog. I'm the Special Assistant Attorney General, and I'm a Service Security Officer in this matter today. My role during the course of this proceeding is to rule on objections, questions, or evidence raised by the parties, to see to the orderly process of the proceedings, and to ensure that the proceedings are conducted in accordance with the applicable rules and laws. This is an administrative proceeding and it's not a court of law, so the formal rules of evidence and civil procedure that govern proceedings in a court of law do not apply to today's hearings. However, I may use both as a guide with on objections or evidence introduced, but I am not bound by either during this administrative hearing. This time, I'll ask the members of the board hearing panel for this case to introduce themselves for the record.
Oh, welcome. Sandra Coleman. Beverly Oliver.
Typically, we do have an alternate that would fit for the panel, but he is out until later on this morning, so we will have no alternate. Will the attorney representing the board of nursing, please state your name for the record.
Brandon Walker.
And if you like to be present. Please state your name. Be represented by counsel. Since you're not represented, I do have to ask some additional questions to make sure that you understand your rights in the case. You understand you have the right to the attorney to represent you? You understand you have the right to present witnesses to testify at today's hearing on your behalf? You understand you have the right to introduce documents and evidence on your behalf? You understand you have the right to cross-examine or question witnesses testifying against you? Further understand you have the right to have subpoenas issued by the board to compel witnesses to appear before the board to offer testimony or have evidence produced on your behalf. You understand that due to the severity of the charges pending against your license, that the outcome of today's hearing could potentially result in an adverse action on your nursing license.
Yeah.
Understanding all of this is that your wish to proceed in this matter without counsel.
Yeah.
Do you have witnesses today that you plan to offer? Just yourself? Mr. Walker, does the board plan to offer any witnesses to give testimony?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Longfellow.
As court reporter, would you please place this triplet, Ms. Jones, under?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you. Are there any preliminary matters in exhibit?
Yes, Your Honor, we have B1 through B7, and, Ms. Tripper was brought in, was R1.
R1?
R1, yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Triplett, have you had an opportunity to review the board's exhibits B1 through B7?
No.
Would you like to take a moment to review those and determine if you have any objections to those being admitted into evidence? Have an objection to, those items being entered into, the evidence as being one through B7? Is that a no? No objection, okay? So those exhibits B1 through B7 will be marked and entered into the record. And then, Mr. Walker, did you, have an objection to exhibit R1? Record?
There you are.
Okay, exhibit R1 will be marked and entered into the. Okay, we will proceed as follows. Both parties may provide opening statements. Opening statements as well as closing statements are not required and are not evident but merely persuasive. After opening statements, use their evidence from both parties. The board has the burden of proving the charges alleged against you. So the board will call their case first if they hold it. Ms. Triplett, you can cross-examine the board's witnesses if you choose. And the board attorney may conduct a redirect examination of the witness after your cross-examination. Members of the board hearing panel may also question the witness. Once the attorney for the board finishes putting on his case, then it will be your time, your turn to put on your case, your defense, by offering testimony, calling witnesses, and the attorney for the board may then cross-examine or question your witnesses, and before the hearing panel, they also ask questions. After both sides have completed, closing statements may be required or may be provided. Again, a closing statement is optional, it is not evident, and it is not required. The board hearing panel will then deliberate and render its decision, and a summary of the determination of the board will be announced today with a detailed written order issued within 45 days. Okay, so do you have any questions about our procedure? But now?
No.
Okay, Mr. Walker, you can proceed with your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. You'll see evidence today that illustrate Ms. Tripplett should not hold a license to practice medicine. You'll see that in September of last year, the board issued an order to revoke her opening license. We'll see in the facts of that order, which are, by the way, undisputed, that Ms. Tripplett failed to provide adequate care for a pediatric patient. You see that she was unaware that the phase two formula, the amount of phase two formula for the patient increased and she could not verify how much formula was available. You will see her nursing notes that she falsified, did not provide details about the patient's intake or output or medication usage. You can see that although the patient was capable of gaining weight, the patient failed to gain any weight. That makes them show you that when she was put aside by the facility for submitting documentation that showed she cared for the patient, while the patient left the city and tried to then submit a second set of notes. Lastly, you'll see the order which contains the undisputed findings of fact revoked her LPN license. Unfortunately, it was not discovered until after her LPN license was revoked, but during this process, she obtained an RN license before that order was issued. Based on the pre-order previously issued by this board, you'll be asking the panel to maintain the precedent for this instead. Thank you.
Mr. Walker, do the board consider to be placed in this field of confidentiality?
They do, Your Honor. I'll do that.
That's all right, that's what about as well, but they, if we would see what we said, they remark and place under this field.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And then Ms. Strickler, if you can proceed with your.
So I received a letter from letter from the board of nursing, May 7th of 2021. I was contacted by, Cleo that worked for Disciplinary nursing. Saying, hey, could you call me back? She informed me that UNC had contacted her, stating that the patient was enrolled in school. And I told you, yes, I was aware that the patient was enrolled in school. And she said, you have your nurse's note, since the times conflict with the times that the patient has been in school, we will need your nurse note change. I have the text with me, and I did submit the notes to her after she told me that the time needed to be changed. And then around the middle of May, I received a call from this to London, asking that I email a statement over to her. I did proceed with that statement. And I was waiting for, well, at the time, I got back in contact with her, I would say around October of 2021. And at the time I had just given birth, so I did not, well, I was unable to attend the first hearing that, she told me that I would have. And after that, I had no contact with anybody else about that man.
Walker, proceed with your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Call Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, you state your name and your current place of employment for the record.
Wanda Jones, Mississippi Board of Nursing.
How long have you worked here at the board?
I worked for the Board of Nursing for 8 years.
Can you state what it is that you do at the board, please?
I'm an investigator with the Board of Nursing.
So you're familiar with the investigative process here at the board, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Ms. Tripplett's case?
Yes.
Did you handle, it was discussed in the state, my opening statement earlier, that she had a previous case, did you handle that, the case in the situation?
Yes. I'm an investigator.
If you would just please turn to page 4, and identify that last employee.
Page 4, Exhibit B3 is the license verification for the respondent.
And when does it show that she was first licensed in Mississippi as a partner?
She was licensed as a registered nurse in Mississippi on May 15, 2024.
Okay, and if you would, let's go next to page 7, and the record states what's on that page.
Page 7 is the complaint. Yes, so it's fine.
You just sum up what those charges are on the complaint.
Charge 1 is a respondent negligently or willfully acted in a manner be consistent with the health or safety of a person under the license of care. Charge two, the respondent has negligently or willfully practiced nursing in a manner that fails to meet generally accepted standards of nursing practice. Charge three, the respondent has falsified or in a repeatedly negligent manner made incorrect entries or failed to make essential entries on record. And charge four is the respondent engaged in unprofessional conduct as identified by the board in the three, mainly failure to maintain medical records and applications of manner, including altering entries or destroying medical records.
Yeah, are any facts listed in that one?
Yes.
I know there's a bunch, but can you just kind of summarize what they all, could be reading time?
On or about September 16, 2025, the respondent's LPN license was revoked in a final board order issued by the board. The revocation was based on the findings of facts in the order. The medical records indicated that the respondent was not ensuring that the patient KR was properly receiving patient. The respondent was unaware of the formula that changed or increased. In addition, the respondent was unable to provide nursing notes that detailed the patient's intake and output and medication administration. And C, is that the patient was capable of gaining weight, but failed to gain weight while under the care of the respondent. In addition to that, on February 1st, 2021, through May 7th, 2021, patient KR attended a pediatric daycare center from 9 until 3 o'clock. And the respondent first set of nursing notes she had where she was seeing this patient during the same time frame that the patient or rendering care for a patient while this patient was at the daycare. In addition to that, she was contacted from someone, well, the company was contacted from someone from UMC regarding the time that the patient was either in the hospital or had medical visits here in Jackson, and the patient lived with the Delta. And the respondent also included nursing notes for the times that that patient was here in Jackson at medical visits. Then once she was approached about that, she submitted, well, first she tried to call the daycare where the child was enrolled at the daycare center to get an attendance record. And the owner of the daycare refused to give her the attendance record because she was not the parent of the child. So then the parent of the child called the daycare center to get the attendance record for that child. Once the attendance record was received, a second set of nursing notes were provided where the time was split, where supposedly she rendered care for that patient for a small portion of the morning, and then she would pick up once the patient was coming back home.
Yes, thank you. So in the exhibits today, there was exhibit B7 got emission evidence. Those were the compilation of the exhibits that we used in the reading did. That's correct.
Yes.
And is it your understanding that she obtained a RN license sometime after that reading? And after that hearing, it was discovered that she obtained that funding. So we're not going, I'm not gonna go all the way through that record. We have order based on that hearing. So that matter is already been settled, is that correct? That's correct. So we want to be found that she did good. That's correct. And I think to testify this earlier, you did testify in the hearing.
That is correct.
So you are familiar with this text?
Yes.
So what I want to focus on today is the order that was issued after that hearing that was not appealed, and I believe it's on page 22. You can confirm that that's the order that was board issued on the opening license.
Yes. Miss Hill,
And whose name on
Siobhan Denise.
it? And this hearing was in, I believe it was page 2025, if that's correct.
That's correct.
You see that finding of fact there?
Yes.
So everything here is a finding that was made on that hearing.
Yes.
On page 23, this is what I kind of really want to focus on. I believe you hit on this earlier in the complaints. You see number 7,
Yes.
you just tell us what the panel found in number 7.
Number 7 is the medical records indicating the respondent was not ensuring the patient AR was properly receiving continuous clinic fees. While paying for the patient, the respondent is unaware, they formula amount had increased. And could not verify how much formula was on available. The respondent was unable to provide nursing notes that detail the patient's intake and output on medication administration. Additionally, although the patient was capable of rapidly gaining weight, the patient failed to neglect the proper care of the respondent.
So when I see here it has, it says it has excites to exhibit them patient. Is that what they decide to support those findings of that?
That's my understanding.
And so the basis for those who you found are what's, you just testified with, so what is right that we said in Next, I want to look at number 8. On page 23, finding the fact, finding the fact that the race in the school that submitted false documents. Can you tell us about what the panel found as it relates to those?
So under 8A, it's February 1st, 2021 through May 7th, 2021. Patient KR attended Delta Pediatric Care 3 days a week from 9 until 3 each visit. The respondent originally submitted timesheets and nursing notes from February 22nd, 2021 through March 26th, 2021, which erroneously indicated the respondent appeared for the patient from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, every day, and the patient's home. C is on or about May 7th, 2021, the pediatric complex care RN coordinator from the University of Mississippi Medical Center contacted the respondent, informing the respondent that the timesheets and nursing notes did not coincide with the times the patient was present at the Delta Pediatric Care. And the D is on May 7th, 2021, both the respondent and the patient's mother contacted Delta Care to obtain the patient's attendance record. The respondent then resubmitted a second set of nursing notes and timesheets for February 1st, 2021 through May 6th, 2021, which indicated the respondent worked Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Through 9 a.m. and again from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. F, the respondent documented in her first set of timesheets and nursing notes that she provided nursing care for KR in the patient's home on or about January 29th, 2021 and February 24th, 2021, when UMMC records indicated that the patient was in Jackson, Mississippi for medical appointments, and G, the respondent documented in her first set of timesheets nursing notes that she provided care for KR in the patient's home from 7 to 3 on all weekdays between February 22nd, 21 and March 26th, 2021. Delta Pediatric Care attendance record indicated that the patient KR was out of the home attending treatment at the facilities February 22nd, 2021 and March 26th, 2021 for 3 to 5 days per week from 9 a.m. to 3 each visit.
So the evidence that was presented based on this finding of fact in this order by the panel, right, showed that she documented there that she was not provided. Went back to the several medical documentation, that's correct. And that was finding that already been made.
Yes.
And again, I believe we already stated this, but the verification in B7, this can all be seen at the site and they do it. That's correct. Out of B7.
That is correct.
So the panel in July found that there was enough evidence to support these charges, so much so that they were going to.
That's correct.
Have enough of them.
We don't really do a presentation. Any questions for Mr. Jones? No question. Or Ms. Walker, excuse me, any reader?
There you go.
Walker.
Take that.
Company, I believe that, usually, effective.
Do you want to explain that? Okay. Explain the taxes.
The other thing, like I said, the partially I work for the company, Cleo asked me to resubmit a second set of, notes, and that's what I did. I'm even. She told me that I could bring them, or she could come pick them up, or I could mail them, and I mailed them up, and, she had, even without 1 month of pay. Waiting, the. And then I contacted her again, asking, is that gonna bother my license? Because that's me offering, notes. And she's like, no, it's not gonna bother your license. And then maybe a week or two later, that's when I was contacted with,
Walker, examination.
Yes, Sean. Mr. But we tell the board your educational background.
I received my LPN license 2018, from the Home Community College. And in 2023, I graduated from the Home Community College again with RN license. And I was actually licensed in 2024 for RN.
So what are you currently employed now?
I have worked with it. For 2020.
You're not working anywhere? Where were you at? This all occurred while you were at sanitary, not seeing that correct?
Yeah.
Where were you at before then?
Before the Disciplinary, I worked for Disciplinary.
What were you doing then?
LP and Joint.
You see on page 23, you shown whenever listening, discussed it earlier, but number 7 that has several findings here, final findings of the Christian community. We're not here to retry that, but do you see all what was found, what's in the assessment that you done? And so the exhibits that these findings are based on, they're the document, but you see that as well. So do you agree that what they determined that you weren't based on findings, you weren't aware of what's really going on with the patient?
I was aware of the qualification. Like I said, the notes that were resubmitted, that was a thing on the company that we will pay.
Yeah. Again, these are, I'm just gonna deal with it. These are already findings, just matters kind of, it's already determined by the family. But you agree that these are findings of fact that kind of made based on evidence?
Yes.
Can you tell us why you didn't appear that here?
Well, I was unaware that I had received a letter. My address that's on file is actually, there's a live when I lived with my mom, my dad. And I know that I was getting money.
So you do know that it's your responsibility to have what you have.
Yeah.
You did not do that. You're not.
Yeah.
And, have you updated your address today? I don't know. So, on the record, we have a day that we certified mail since the address on food and paid, and you're saying you didn't get paid this. We gave you a period you're hearing today, can you tell us how you did that?
In September of 2025, I was at work in the HR department. And if this information had been.
So whenever you apply for your RN license, are you aware that anything is going on with the open license?
Because I hadn't heard anything back from the board and, my property.
Would you agree that this was from 2021 year, and the hearing for it in July, you're saying that I need to be before, but. On page 24, it has the list of charges that you have done, and you agree with me, sure, based on this, what was presented and what's in these 7 days, because you're determined guilty of those and you're hoping not to. You understand that that matter has been settled and there are no facts links. But. So I guess my question, did you not appear, because what it looks like is that you didn't appear for the original hearing, which means it's an art. That's the case. And there's no question.
Questions from the board?
So, based on your education and what you've been trying to do, what is the proper documentation? And based on your education, what is the proper documentation protocol? What should we do when you document?
What should I do?
Yes, once your documentation occur, what do you document?
Plain. You document it.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Fine.
Well, sometimes I was going to busy, well, I'm not gonna even lie about it, I would basically be like a caretaker for the patient. I kept her, her mom would be there, then I would keep her in the other two.
So is that cause for you not properly documented?
No,
Okay. So, based on the document on MSBN 20 on B7, based on the document that I'm seeing there from the Attorney General's office, did you receive any discipline from the Attorney General's office? Yes, in MSBN 20.
Your Honor, maybe what is B7?
Yeah, B7.
Has that original page number, so that these will make.
Sorry. Was there any findings from the Attorney General's office on that? So there was no finding of neglect. I just want to clarify,
you mean as in what you want to do?
based on the discussion we're having today with that patient, were there any findings?
Yes.
What was the? Did they have a finding? This may help you. Was there a finding of abuse or fraud related to Medicaid?
No.
Okay. And are you currently on the OIG list? You are. So with you being on the. That you are currently on the OIG. So with that being said, are you aware that you will not be able to work in any facility that receives Medicaid funding? Also, I see that CPS also, had done an investigation. With that being said, did they have any findings against you that case? Were these behaviors right behind yours trying to? there any findings? What were they?
Okay, but maybe emotionally, really, really, you know, really exposed to the education.
So based on what I've read, what was the outcome for the patient? That orders were not observed or followed? And documentation didn't line up. So what was the outcome for that patient? A reference, it was, let's see. I would bet it's meant to be 28, but. I'm thinking. Well, just appropriate. Recall if they were hospitalized? How long were they hospitalized? Recall? So, based on what I'm also reading in the document, they had failure to thrive. Are you familiar with what that is? Yeah. So with that being said, why did you not observe and complete orders as advised? Why did you not follow the orders as they were advised? Seeing that this patient had failure to thrive. Let me rephrase that. Did you follow your orders for the feeding? Did you observe that there was a change in feedings of the feeding increase of the dose?
I didn't feel another bit of.
Because when I looked at the file, there was a decrease in weight, and that's why that child was hospitalized. For malnutrition, right?
Yes, I was the orders that, interest the baby was in, until, I would say, May of 2020, reach for taking.
Why is that?
That's what it's probably.
Right, so with that being said, why did you not, as of today, to Walker Bessie and the data group, why have you not done that?
That's the nurse that I was using, I was saying my daughter's, dad, but all of my meals that I was talking.
Do understand at the end of the day, you are responsible for updating and making sure that it comes to you. That's that correct?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Right. You believe that you falsified the document?
Yes.
But yes, you falsified.
I mean, I changed it because I was actually. So,
Do you believe you provided a perfect care for pediatric? I do.
Um, as a LPN or an RN, you realize that you're responsible for what you document and what you do. So if, someone asked you to change, documentation, do you realize you can refuse?
at the time, I was really involved, but I think so many other, experiences, learning, that documentation and, different workplace settings, so. I mean, I'm aware now.
Well, you have the right to these if you think the order is incorrect. Or your time sheet, so it'd be. So you should have a.
Any, additional comments that you wish to give? Have any other witnesses or any testimony or exhibits? Well, at this time, we did closing statements. In closing statements, optional, it's not evident, and it's not required. So, Mr. Walker, you can proceed with the closing statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. You saw today that Ms. Cripps' LPN license was revoked by the board for hearing in July of last year. Really, it's some evidence that was presented at that hearing. After that, today, you heard she admitted the falsification and admitted it. Saying the order that was issued by the panel contains undisputed findings of that based on the same evidence that was presented today and testimony that was given. The facts are taken as true and undisputed. And after reviewing all the evidence, the panel determined that Cripps was not safe to practice in this of the law. I'm here today to retry that case, same set of facts we presented budget. Today, we're simply asking you to uphold that precedent in a vote for our. Not to say practice and help you, but certainly not self practice. Thank you.
Strickland, do you wish to give the closing anyway? Closing statement? No? All right, well, thank you, Mr. Strickland and Mr. Walker, for your participation. Cooperation today does not conclude the hearing. I will entertain a motion from the panel to go into closed session to determine the need to go into executive session. Motion to go closed session. Second. And, now I, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, and now I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of deliberation of clause number 2025-1087. Motion to go executive session. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we are in executive session. Thank you.
We're back on record.
We are back on the record. I will announce the board's decision in cause number 2025-1087. The board hearing panel found that the licensee was guilty of all charges, charged in the complaint by clear and convincing evidence. And the board hereby revokes the RN license of Siobhan B. Triplett, license number R926044. And that was a unanimous decision. Thank you. That now concludes that matter.
Give me 19.
Now move on to the next matter. Morning, today's date is Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, and the time is 10:20 a.m. We are present at the office of the Board of Nursing.
Sarah.
Located at 713
Sarah.
South Carolina
Sarah.
Road in Richland, Mississippi. I'll call the next matter. on
Yes,
the
ma'am, you have
docket,
his exhibit.
matter of Louisa and Howard Williams, license number 884.
He's having a look on the car.
Case number
See our paper.
3-0025.
He's the one who's on.
My name is Sarah Hartlock. I'm Special Assistant Attorney General, and I will serve as the hearing officer in this matter today. My role during the course of the proceeding will be to rule on objections to questions of evidence raised by the party, speak to the orderly process of the proceedings, and to ensure that the proceedings are conducted in accordance with the applicable laws and rules. This is an administrative hearing and not a court of law. So the formal rules of evidence and civil procedure that govern proceedings in a court of law do not apply to me. However, I may use both as a guide for ruling on objections or evidence introduced, but I am not bound by either during the administrative proceeding. At this time, I ask the members of the board hearing panel for this case to introduce themselves for the record. We will have one member of the hearing panel that will serve as alternate. Okay, all right. We have one member of the hearing panel that will serve as an alternate. It will not participate in either deliberation or decision by the hearing panel. So that member, please identify yourself as well. We'll start with the here on the left.
Sandra Colvin, Beverly Oliver.
And will the attorney representing the board of nursing please state his name for the record?
Brandon Walker.
Okay. And is the licensee here today?
Yes.
And please state your name.
Leticia Ann Collinsville.
Are you represented today? Okay, because you are not represented by counsel, I want to give you additional questions to confirm that you understand your rights here. You understand you have the right to have an attorney represent you. Do you understand you have the right to present witnesses, testify at today's hearing on their behalf? You understand you have the right to introduce documents and evidence on their behalf? You understand you have the right to cross-examine or question witnesses testifying against you? You further understand you have the right to have subpoenas issued by the board to compel witnesses to appear before the board to offer testimony or to have evidence produced on their behalf? You understand that due to the severity of the charges pending against your license, that the outcome of today's hearing could potentially result in an adverse action on your nursing license. Understanding all of this, is it your wish to proceed in this matter without counsel or representation? Okay, Ms. Howard Williams, do you have any witnesses that you plan to call today? Will you be testifying on your behalf? Okay, very good. And then Mr. Walker, will you be presenting witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Wayne Jameson, Silver.
Ms. Court Reporter, will you please place the witnesses under oath? It's not the, oh, she's, oh, okay.
We don't just raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God?
Okay, are there any preliminary matters, motions or exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor, we have B1 for the B4 can be permitted evidence. Also request that it be here under seal.
Ms. Howard Williams, have you had an opportunity to review the board's exhibits B1 through B14?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any objection to those being entered into the record? Under seal, okay. So exhibits B1 through B14 will be marked and entered into the record under seal. Ms. Howard Williams, do you have any exhibits that you wish to produce?
No, ma'am.
For entry in that? All right, so we want to see if we want to report. So I will explain the order of the hearing now for you. It will proceed as follows. Both parties may provide opening statements. Opening statements as well as closing statements are not required. They're not evidence, they're just perspective. After opening statements, we will hear evidence from both parties. The board has the burden of proving the charges alleged against you. And we'll look at your case first and then on hold. Ms. Howard Williams, you may cross-examine the board with, if you choose to, and the board attorney may conduct a redirect exam of the witness after their cross-examination. Members of the board hearing panel may also question the witness. Once the attorney for the board finishes on his case, then it is your time to put on your defense, your case, by offering testimony, by calling the witnesses, and submitting evidence. The attorney may, for the board, may then cross-examine or question you or your witnesses. And the board hearing panel here may also ask questions. Once both sides have concluded, once both sides have concluded, closing statements may be provided. Again, a closing statement is optional, it's not evidence, and it's not required. The board panel will then deliberate and render a decision. We'll give you a summary of the decision, and then there will be a detailed order within 6 days. If you have any questions about this procedure,
It's the evidence today that shows the documentation for care of pediatric patients do not meet the standard of nursing practice. You'll see that there are times, assessments, blood dates, and several other details of the patient's care, status, or just absence to record for documentation. Today, you believe the evidence shows that she's guilty of charging.
Howard Williams, you wish to make an opening statement?
My name is Letitia Howard Williams. I've been a registered nurse since 2010. On the basement, I work in the UAC, but I've been there since I've been 16. I was assigned to this particular pediatric case. I did part-time work for probably nursing agency, and this particular patient was the one that was having a really hard time finding him to stay here for working. And I initially signed on with one agency, and they weren't able to fill the schedule for nurses. And then was switched to another agency, which is the Personally, I was trying to help his mom. She's a single mom with 3 kids, and no caregiver for him for the other 2 kids. She didn't have any of the nurses, so I was just trying to figure out what I do. That was really things that didn't go as planned. So, but I just would like to say, that, I'm ready to get this, and hopefully, okay,
Mr. Walker?
Thank you, State College, one, that's. James, let me state your name, current president, for the record. Dwayne James, from the city of Washington. And how long have you worked for Lebanon? And since you're watching, what is city that you're with? Right, from criminal background checks and investigating. So is it fair to say that just when you're investigating the process of your life? Yes, I think. You want to start with page 4, and you just identify that. Great. On page 4 is life machine information for location communities out of the. When does it show that she was first licensed in Mississippi? May 10th, 2010. And what was she licensed as a registered nurse? You go next to page 7, you can identify that for the record of the law. Page 7 was a copy of the complaint. And can you just tell us, you can sum up the charges that were listed on the. Yeah, the charge 1, charge 2. Basically charging for the strong, the false learning, or repeating them from the negative, or making incorrect entry. And also practicing nursing on failed to be doing except CB. And are there any facts as to that complaint that is supported? Yes. You just sign out the the fact refer to November 13th, 2022 incident where the entry of the loan failed to not certain information. Yes, the motion. There was also some discrepancies with the plan. At one time, you noted the respondent as opposed to the conflict in time noted by a hospital with the application. This can play essentially about documentation. Yes. In the complaint stated, I believe states that she was employed that Charlie was justified with other admits together help. That is good. On page 13, you just identify what that is and page 13 is written communication, written documentation from you together. Yeah. And does this list any roles? I get that. Okay. Do you see the role for the RN toward the bottom of page 1? Yes, I do. We just, I think it runs over on 14, but you just read on page 14 that first 4 sentences on page where it's helpful. The first 4 sentences. They are tasked with maintaining accurate patient documentation, administering medication and treatment to patients in auxiliary action or side effect. Okay, so this is what the RN role is. What you gather from these documents. Yes. Now at the bottom of that paragraph, the last thing starts with the RN responsible for. We also read that. The RN is responsible for correctly documenting all care administered to patients, including medication administration, dose, drug, route, frequency, fees given, ADL, working performed, ventilated setting, education, and result from data assessment. So it's kind of sum those up. Pretty much says that she's the RN is responsible for documenting all care. Yes. Let's go next to page 16. Can a nurse employed with this company transport a patient? According to documentation received from the company, no. And that's what this says on page 16. Yeah, we read what it says there on 16. Under the section of transportation, it states nurses are strictly prohibited from driving patients anywhere. If there's a medical emergency, you are directed to call 911 first. After contacting 911, nurses are to contact the parent, inform them of the situation. The nurse is allowed to drive with the family as a passenger. So according to the company's policy, there is no transportation place set for the family. There is one. So next, I'll over page 62. You identify with page 62, correct?
This is an incident report from Jeanette Together Health. Who wrote this report? It was created by Ms. Reese Milligan.
And this report about Hallelujah. Yes, it is. Then the complaint stated that she was transporting the patient. Excuse me, the patient's grandmother. And that patient began to have a seizure. Yes. But in this incident report, was Ms. Millman with much detail as to what happened.
She does not give much detail, she referenced that, the respondent did contact her about the information and also that the mother of the patient is getting unfortunate.
But she wouldn't get much information either way. That's what it did. They just go. Now, if you look still at page 36. We just say what this is for the record.
Okay, this is a medical record from St. River Hospital for patient CV.
So this is where the record starts. If you look, what I want to look at is on page 47. This, we just confirmed for the record that this is still part of the patient's hospital. Yes, it is. We, you see what it says there in the chief complaint? Yes, that's it. We just say that there is.
Chief complaint is that the patient is next to cardiac arrest.
I remember there it has an HPI. We just for the record read that and just leave out any. Find patient information.
CV is a 21-month-old male who presents for evaluation of altered mental state. Very sick child at baseline. He has a tracheostomy in place. He was on the ventilator at home. He was riding in the car in the back seat and all of a sudden had an issue or an episode where he looked like he was antsy or upset or in pain or possibly having a seizure. Then became limp and less responsive. Symptoms severe, constant, no alleviating factor, no radiation, no precipitating events, no recent healing.
According to the record we have here, this patient was already pretty sick. But yes, according to the record. And this also states that the patient being called, it does state. It was turning over page, it was 57. There's a note on this page by Dr. Barton. We state where he says the child wasn't so afraid. Well, second page.
According to this, the history furthermore notes was that the child was in the back seat in his car seat.
And according to the hospital with that, when Miss Howard Williams especially transported. No, she. In the case of an emergency, where
She was to call now.
yeah, one more thing I'll look at is on page 35. This one's nursing this. Yes, you see, there's, looks like there's different time, you see the 11:30 time. I do. You just read what it says, it's 11:30 time.
11:30 says seizure activity noted being transport from patient's home to the running of the snow. Which episode lasted about 2 minutes. chronic working, that's the way you know the patient. Great and a low, have set up the to allow. Following the first episode, note the second, and speed will last for about 1 minute. Unable to arrive, patient transported to the emergency department and seen in the hospital.
So according to note, she was transported person back in the. That's correct. In the video, in the exhibit, we have a video, I would, let's go on the executive session, do that video. In order just to get patient information. That into the patient.
Okay, folks, we are now in executive session for purposes of viewing the video of a patient.